lying to themselves. Hi guys, I'm Jen. And I talk about many different subjects. Some you might like, some you may not like, and that's okay. If there's anything you would like to talk about, let us hear it. Um, Subscribe, like or dislike, share with your friends, comment. They're always welcome. So, today's subject may be controversial, it may not. It's just something that sometimes gets under my skin. Depends on the situation. Um, I'm going to talk about several different mental illnesses, and then I'll get to the heart of this lying thing. Um, Body dysmorphic disorder, BDD, is a mental health condition where individuals obsess over perceived flaws in their appearance. Okay, they're often minor or unnoticeable to others. This preoccupation can lead to significant distress and impact daily functioning, including social interactions and self-esteem. I don't remember what this girl had. She had something like that, or she blinded herself because she thought that she should be blind. Um, I don't know what that was called, but that was a sign. That was a good example of a severe mental illness. Psychology Today says mental health and sexual orientation. What the evidence says, unless his research documents the psychological effects of being a sexual minority, and this was written on 2/17 of 2017. And I don't have to agree with this for it to be true. This is something that has been done. Like I said, I may not like it, I may not agree with it, but it is what it is. It wasn't until 2015 that a federal judge ruled that the 1964 Civil Rights Act protects sexual minorities from employment discrimination. In 31 states, however, there is still no law that protects employment for people who identify as transgender. Now, until 1973, homosexuality was considered a mental disorder by the American Psychiatric Association and was included in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM. So, this classification was challenged by activists, leading to its removal from the DSM in 1973. On 12/15/73, at a time when society often still views gay people as deviants, the American Psychiatric Association reversed a century-old decision, issuing a resolution stating that homosexuality it neither it's neither a mental illness nor a sickness. The resolution also explains, quote, for a mental or psychiatric condition to be considered a disorder, it must either regularly cause distress or regularly be associated with some generalized impairment in social effectiveness or functioning. Okay. So, for all of you that are claiming this mental distress and disorders because of the way you are, and it's limiting the way you can act in society, according to this definition, you do not fit in the category of being truly homosexual or gay or whatever you are claiming you are. Because according to this, when you are adjusted, when you feel okay with yourself and you really believe that you are that, you won't have to be out there trying to convince other people to make you feel more comfortable in that idea, okay? So I'm going to read that again to you. For mental or psychiatric conditions to be considered a disorder, it must either regularly cause distress, which you're claiming this does, or regularly be associated with some generalized impairment in social effectiveness or functioning. So, you can't get along with other people that aren't your type. You don't want to be called by a certain pronoun. This is obviously an indication that you are, in fact, suffering in addition to what you're already suffering. You could be suffering from mental illness, and this strongly suggests that you do get an evaluation by a psychiatric professional, okay? Now, I read on the FHE Health website, and this was written May 9th to 24 by Christina Robb Dover. Pathological lying can occur with these mental disorders. Get it? Okay. And this is updated this month, 2/14 to 25. Everyone lies. Some people find peace in white lies and don't feel bad about occasionally avoiding the truth to spare a loved one's feelings. Others see habitual lying, even major lies, as something completely inconsequential. Pathological lying goes far beyond the standard lies most people tell. Pathological liars lie about all kinds of things, big and small, for seemingly no reason. Lying to those extremes can also be a symptom of a larger problem. When lying begins to interfere with someone's personal life or the lives of those around them, it's time to consider professional help. Are you with me so far? This is not someone that you're used to telling you, oh, you're mentally ill, you're this, you're that. I'm not calling you anything. I'm simply drawing out some facts that I've found and asking you, do you think this might be a problem? Do you think that some of your friends that you know or family members that you know could be actually suffering a mental illness? And quite honestly, a mental illness is just as life threatening as a physical illness. The longer you go untreated, the less likely you are to have a later quality of life. The people that you surrounded yourself with aren't always going to be there. The lifestyle that you're living may change, and you may lose your identity in that. Um, Life is not. It's not set in stone exactly how your life is going to be led. And it's ever flowing, it's ever changing, and you've got to learn to roll with it. When you try to dam up the river, the flow of the water, as lots of you are trying to do, and stating that this is the way I'm going to be treated, and you're throwing those logs in the flow, eventually it's going to overflow, and you probably most likely will be swept away with that and off to somewhere you probably don't want to be, socially speaking. Um, yeah. When lying begins to interfere with someone's personal life or the lives of those around them, it's time to consider professional help. And I mean that just as they said it. Some mental health disorders that cause or contribute to lying include narcissistic personality disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, anxiety disorders, antisocial disorder. So, some of these obvious or not so obvious signs of symptoms include um, lying for attention to make themselves feel better, to feel superior, or to manipulate others for the purpose of self gain. Um, what could these people claiming, they're gay, they're transgender, what transgender? what would be their self-gain from that? Let's keep reading and see if we can get an idea. Lying to protect themselves or to handle things like fear of rejection. I don't know. I feel like it's close. It's in the ballpark, but I don't know. Lying can be a compulsion in a person with OCD experiences, or it can be a negative coping method. Those with APD or antisocial personality disorder um, might compulsively lie to manipulate the people around them. We see a lot of those, don't we? And hurt others' feelings or otherwise cause harm. And there again, you might be getting to a subject that I've talked about before and other people have brought up is projecting our own feelings onto other people and then wanting to punish them for the way we're the ones actually feeling that. So sometimes lying can be a coping response, often starting in childhood. For some, psychological or personality issue that may not be at first visible. It is important to see past just dealing with the lying to uncover the cause. And that's shared by Dr. Bo A. Nelson. He's the Chief Clinical Officer at the FHE Health. Maybe biological drivers behind pathological lying. One study found that central nervous system behavior may influence a propensity for lying. And another found evidence of lying due to an imbalance in the hormone, I think it's cortisol. Yeah, cortisol ratio. So, in some of these instances, I think that could be drawn into this too when they cry about their hormones being out of balance and things like that. Shouldn't that be something that's checked out too? Let's see what that ratio is. Let's see if it's in the central nervous system. Maybe that's why you're suffering so much and trying to be something you're not meant to be, because your actions are not reflecting that of someone that would be truthfully that way. And I've had friends that are gay, but you don't see those people out flaunting their flags and doing all this craziness because they just are who they are. They don't have to convince other people. They pretty much just want to live their own lives, and that's the reality of it. So what y'all are doing is not right. It's not normal behavior for who you're claiming to be. No. So pathological lying, often considered a symptom of a deeper psychological issue, like a personality disorder or a neurological conditions. Pathological liars may not always be aware of their lies or the reasons behind them. Their lying can be compulsive and serve no clear purpose or benefit. Um, and that's a lot of what I see with um, what these transgender claiming to be. I don't know what theirs. Yeah, I don't know what their purpose is or the benefit they're expecting out of this. Habitual lying describes a pattern of frequent lying that has become ingrained as a habit. Now again, that's where I talked about the grooves in the brain getting deeper and deeper. The more you think about it, the more you say it, it becomes permanent. Same principle as far as I'm concerned. Now, while they may lie frequently, their behavior is not necessarily indicative of a mental health disorder. Okay? They may lie for various reasons, such as to avoid consequences, gain attention, or manipulate others. The key difference is often the presence of a diagnosable mental health condition in pathological lying. Understanding the nuances, the term pathological and compulsive liar are often used interchangeably, but there are subtle differences between them. Both types involve persistent and often pointless lying. Yet other motivations and levels of awareness differ. Pathological lying is often linked to underlying personality disorders such as NPD or antisocial personality disorder. Those that are pathological liars may be less aware of their deceptions and sometimes believe their own fabrications. Um, Lies can be grandiose and fantastical. Uh, Compulsive lying focuses on the irresistible urge to lie. They are generally more aware of their dishonesty. They struggle to control the impulse, often using lying as a coping mechanism for anxiety or insecurity. Their lies tend to be more mundane and frequent compared to those of a pathological liar. The emphasis here is less on a deep seated disorder and more on the habitual, almost addictive nature of the lying. Although the distinction can be blurry, the key differences lie in awareness. Compulsive liars are generally more aware of their actions and the underlying causes, since pathological lying often stems from personality disorders. Regardless of the label, chronic lying can damage relationships and overall well being, making it crucial to seek pro help to address the root causes and break the cycle of deception. Mental health disorders can and do play a contributing factor. Getting diagnoses can be the first step to addressing chronic lying. Determining the difference between lying for social or personal reasons and lying due to mental illness can be a challenge. There are differences in the manifestation of lying in those with mental illnesses versus those who lie for other reasons. For example, there are links between mental illness and believing your own lies. Liars with other motivations often don't believe what they're saying. Well, I've read way too much of that for a video, and that's the truth. But I was finding it fascinating, and that's why I just kept going and going. I mean, after seeing so many apparently disillusioned persons actually going out seeking to put themselves into situations that clearly would not have caused a problem on any other day, interjecting themselves into a scenario to get or attract as much negative reactions as they can is, in my opinion, an indicator of clear-cut mental illness. If these individuals are, in fact, as they claim they truly are, a mental health evaluation shouldn't be a problem, shouldn't be a hang up for them. I personally look around and observe people and many other things. I'm a people watcher. And one thing I learned as a child growing up is when other kids were playing make believe, um, it was pretty obvious. It wasn't like they're really a dragon or a baseball player or whatever they say they're being. So I also watched The Natural Narcissism, a child is born with in order to survive. So when babies are born, that narcissism has to be, that's like the biggest thing. They cry, they want all the attention because they need that to survive. They need to be fed, they need to be taken care of, okay? So all of us are born with narcissism. And here's what happens. It usually gets chipped away at and made smaller by living life. Those humbling situations you find yourself in, things like that. Those are the things that knock the narcissism down to a manageable size. So, here's a question. What if that narcissism was being fed? What if your child, you never let your baby cry? Anytime it cried, you just ran right to it. You picked it up, you stuck a bottle in his mouth, a pacifier, whatever. You never let that baby cry. You're going to have a difficult child on your hands. And why is that? Because you didn't knock off that narcissism. Okay? So, if it had been chipped down, would this child be acting or behaving in such entitled ways? Now, a normal child, in the process of getting their narcissism chipped away, you may see them throwing a fit in a store because they're accustomed to getting what they want and when they want it. And for different reasons, whether they think because they're in a public place they're going to get what they want, they're trying to manipulate, that's what they're trying to do. And so you deal with them in the best way you know how. The way I would do it was, we're leaving, we're not getting anything, and that's what we would do. So I've also seen people that just want the kid to be quiet, and they'll just grab a candy bar or something and throw it in their mouth and then tell the cashier, oh, we'll put this on my bill after I'm done shopping. So who did you actually help there? Yourself. You helped yourself. But what you didn't realize was you're hurting your child or your grandchild, whoever it is. And you're hurting them in a profound way that is going to shape their life. Just something that small. So, if it had been chipped down, would this child be acting or behaving in such entitled ways? So, by observing lots of people in various situations, the normal amount of narcissism turns into our self-preservation as adults. Hopefully balanced. So here's my untrained opinion. Excuse me. Child grows up with a big chunk of narcissism left behind. He resents having to go live their own life. Usually being held and led by the hand to be turned out. Oh, if you go to college, I'll buy you a car. If you do this, the narcissism is still fed no matter what. It's given that fertilizer, it's given that water, and it continues to grow, and then it surpasses what the child was even born with, and now it's taken root and has become part of their personality, part of who they are. They still they still deny what others are doing. They know they're different. You know, they have the narcissism. They know they're different than other people. But because of the narcissism, they think, oh, it can't be anything wrong with me. It's everybody else. So they start to seek out, like everybody else does. They want to seek camaraderie. They want to seek people with like minds. So they become more uncomfortable. And the things that cause them to be uncomfortable can be, well, they're not getting the same reactions or results they did from others as a young child. Being allowed and encouraged to be a certain way. So these people truly believe with their whole being that everyone else is wrong and they're right. Now, not learning how to walk, so to speak, and what I'm talking about, I think you get it, is when we step out into our young adulthood and, hopefully our parents have taught us how to walk in life. So if they haven't learned how to walk, so to speak, amongst others with differing thoughts and ideas, and they're still attention seeking, they'll often join in or attach themselves with and to others he or she identifies as other outcasts, that they see as getting the attention they seek. So instead of growing, changing, maturing, growing up, they grow up seriously disfigured inside. So the way they present themselves on videos, to me, and I don't care if you agree or not, if you're the people that are out there doing this is what you look like, okay? This is what you look like from my perception. You don't fit in anywhere because of the things that I've described. You absolutely refuse to believe that there could be anything you can do to change that would improve your social standing or your life or your grades or whatever. So you'll jump into a group that you think, well, they're loud. I want to be part of that. I want to stand out too. And you're not actually what they are, but you can try and disguise yourself or become a chameleon, so to speak, so you feel like you're part of something bigger. These things are temporary. You're not going to go anywhere in life just believing that you're a certain this or a certain that. Life doesn't work that way. People, wake up. You're not convincing anybody with your lies. You're delusional. You're mentally ill if you really believe that. I strongly suggest that if you want to come back at me and prove that you're not mentally disabled, go get the proof. And if you're afraid of doing that, then that's still back on you. I have been diagnosed. I have found out my problems. It's time you found out yours. And there's a lot of people watching me now that don't have any of those problems. And I'm sure they would like to see you taking care of yourself too. It's not that we're rejecting you if you're transgender or gay. We're not rejecting you. We're just concerned for you because of your inability to function in society as a person. And I hope you understand that, because that comes from the bottom of my heart. Like I said, I know many people, many walks of life, and 99.9% of you are not the real thing. And the real ones can tell you're not the real thing, and they're laughing at you. They're crying for you because they see you're demented. They see that you're mentally ill, and they do hope the best for you and that you will get better, get treatment. And for those of you that are normal, that don't have anything wrong, that are just pretending to go along with these things, you got a problem too. It's a whole cycle. So this is said with much compassion and love for everybody. Everything's good, guys. I know it was a hard video, but I felt like it really had to be said by somebody, and I'm not the only one. I just feel like the more times it gets out there, the more likely somebody with some sense is going to hear this and start the change to normalize life instead of making it so much more hard for everybody else. Happy day, y'all.